Shalis de pace. Salis.
Do you seek him?
Do you seek him?
Do you seek him?
Do you seek him?
Do you seek the nameless god?
You have found yourself among those who roll the dark dice. What you are about to hear happened long ago, a story brought back from the edge of oblivion, dutifully transcribed and enhanced orally to better captivate your attention. Previously, shipwrecked and marooned, 4 survivors from an ill-fated ship awoke in the black sands of an unknown silver shore. Freezing and hungry, they depart the beach toward the only source of light in the distance. Dark Dice, Shores of the Silver Thrum, Chapter 13, Inlet Hearth.
A warm glow waited in the distance, flickering in and out, beckoning. As the endless winter night grew darker, the tiny beacon grew closer with each staggered step. The wind had lessened, but had brought in heavy clouds that sat low over the island. The black beach before them was difficult to navigate for those accustomed to only daylight and the fireplaces or braziers of polite society. An exhausted Apidae led a newly revived Jare and a worried Yuehai down the beach toward the light. Apidae could see well enough, but all others could barely make out the larger rocks and deep tidal pools without his assistance. Behind them, Vivianna did the same for Vind, pointing out the way he could not see as he navigated with the help of his spear. The light was their focus, their goal, as chilling winds bit at their extremities. Their eyes watered from salt and the cold. Chilled as they were, exhausted and starving, they took little heed of their immediate surroundings as the glow took form. Closer, it slowly became clear that the light was cast through a small, rectangular window.
Oh, it's probably a tavern or something. Like an inn? Guys, do you smell that? I think I smell chicken. I don't actually smell chicken. I think I'm like hallucinating. I'm really cold and hungry. Come on.
Well, perhaps might I suggest that someone who is good at sneaking maybe gets a little bit closer just to check. I'm just aware that none of us are in a fit situation to be set upon. If we are caught unawares, I think that is probably curtains, as they say.
He's right. Yuehai. You'd be the perfect one to go sneak and go check for us.
Why me?
Oh, hey, I was not volunteering anyone, okay?
Well, it's kind of messed up just because Yuehai is the shortest. I mean,
what a leader, Vin!
Just stay here. I'll go. Ajay's going to pull himself slightly lower and stealths towards the light.
I'll join you.
He's right, though. You should go, Yuehai.
Characteristics of a leader. Just push the smallest one up ahead.
I'm not saying he has a point or anything, but like, you are the tiniest.
Vivianna!
Yeah, I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Just remember who saved you from the shipwreck.
The bickering died down as the party followed a few meters behind Apidae and Jare. Yuehai followed to provide backup in case any was needed. Vivianna followed out of an insatiable drive to see what was happening. And Vind followed because he realized he was in no condition to fight if left alone in the dark.
Up ahead, they carefully climbed a set of stone steps until they reached the top of a 6-meter-high plateau of rock, overlooking the sea and sand. There, a small and quaint village sat, cast in darkness as the moon stayed hidden behind the clouds. Even if the sun rose, the little village would have sat in the shadow of the tall cliffs surrounding the small inlet. And little was an apt word, for only a dozen or so halfling-sized homes ringed around a larger occupied building. Half-woven nets, only just visible to Apidae and Vivianna in the darkness, hung from wooden posts, accompanied by nearby seaweed on drying racks. Large flat black stones had been laid in the ground, creating winding, pleasing paths between the quaint homes. One of the buildings was far more remarkable. It was larger and more decorated than the others, with driftwood sculptures out front and tall racks for drying fish in the salty, cold air. It was in this longhouse that firelight was visible through the windows. With a poor history roll, Even with advantage, Yuehai did not recognize the style of the buildings, but could tell that it was constructed to the scale of small folk like herself. The windows were just the right size for seated halflings to see through, and the arches for doors were just over a meter tall. But she noticed that no actual doors were present. Instead, in their place were heavy seal pelts that hung from the tops of the door frames, weighed down by rocks to block out the cold.
You see, Yuehai? I told you you'd be the perfect leader right now. You're the only one who could easily fit in. Ajay and I'll look terribly out of place if we try to stick our noses in the window. Maybe try to get a bit closer, perhaps? Scout things out for us?
Might I suggest that we just, walk into this friendly-looking village and just explain that we are part of a shipwreck rather than trying to sneak around and maybe, I don't know, getting ourselves killed?
Wasn't sneaking your idea to begin with?
Sounds good, Ajay. Sounds good.
Firelight from the windows of the central building was visible, and short bursts of laughter escaped from within. The windows, glassless, flickered as the shadows moved beyond the light tapestries that covered them, and as the fires within were fed fresh fuel. In a burst, a small wooden door cut from the larger door swung open, followed by a laughing screech. A young halfling girl ran out holding a doll, and her infectious laughter continued as she dashed around the building. Another giddy child followed in chase before they both darted back through the open door to the warmth within. Another small hand, perhaps that of an adult, closed the tiny door moments later.
Ajay, I can see that you seem reluctant to trust your eyes, but it's fucking freezing, and you need to stop being so suspicious. What we need now is warmth and food, because I'm hungry. So I'm going to open the door.
Yes. Before Jare is going to speak up again about that particular thing, at any point in this, having seen more of the surroundings now, does Jare know anything about this place from his having sailed around everything? And do pieces fall into place? Hey, there's this shore, there's cliffs, there's halflings here. Potentially.
Not only did Jare have no knowledge of such a place, but he'd never seen stones like these on any of the rocky beaches he'd pulled ships up onto. That strange sparkle as the firelight glimmered. What was this curious, shimmering silver?
Well, where I'm from, really, the thing we do is we knock before opening someone's door, and he goes on knocking at the door, see if they are welcomed in.
Can I real quick, just as we're walking up, just if there's any way, either through just my understanding of magic and also hopefully understanding of using arcane to hunt, I basically want to see if there's any way that I can intuit if there is any kind of shenanigans going on here, because this seems like the perfect thing that we just happened to have stumbled across. If there's any shimmering at the edges of the building, I'm just basically trying to assess if the building is actually definitely there, and when I'm not hallucinating and about to walk into the mouth of a creature.
Doubting his senses, Ajay required a sanity saving throw.
Huge fun. 7, let's go.
While a building did stand before him, Ajay felt more confident with each step.
Jare knocked on the small wooden door of the longhouse, feeling the cold, rough wood under his knuckles. He made note of the smaller inset door within the frame that would open roughly at the height of his hips, and lowered himself to kneel beside it. He put on the best smile he could muster, given the circumstances. A few moments later, and the small door opened, and an older halfling man with dark hair and strained eyes looked out with a smile, before recognizing that the people before him were not ones he knew, and his face faltered. The door closed. The sounds of chatter from within were immediately snuffed out and replaced with a hollow silence. The waves rolled on the beach below as a moment endured, until the metal scratch of a latch was heard and the larger door slowly pulled open. Within, waiting and confused, dozens of halflings seated at long tables stared out with a mixture of curiosity and caution. The wrinkles on the face of the halfling who opened the door betrayed guarded worry, even as his voice was kindly welcoming.
I'm not sure how you found yourself out here, stranger. Strangers. But you'll find nothing but the cold out there tonight. Please, if your wishes are simply warmth and ale, our longhouse may not be tall, but there's enough space for all.
Jare is going to kind of do a sideway look inside the building, and realizing that this is a few families of halflings. Thank you kindly, sir.
Well, thank you so much for the hospitality then. Whew. I barge right in.
Seems you've a right bit of energy even out in that chill.
Constructed of sturdy driftwood, ship wreckage, and local rock, the longhouse was warmed by 2 large stone fireplaces. The tables were long and lined with benches, each able to seat at least 4 halflings side by side. Painted beside the fireplaces were simple nautical murals in whites, blacks, silvers, and reds. The floor was pebbled, small gray stones of varying tones set in place with care. Both fireplaces had large metal cauldrons attached to a swiveling brace, allowing the food to be moved into or out of the fire. And all in all, there were just over 3 dozen halflings. Some sat at the tables, others stood to chat, and a few were bent over the cauldrons, and all appeared to have been clearly enjoying their drinks up until this moment. They had been eating from long, black stone serving trays, which boasted an assortment of dried fish, and some still held on to their wooden cups. Tiny children were seated in front of warm fires, holding dolls or ready to toss rings carved from shells over small sticks. These people, though worn from work on the sea, appeared jovial and apprehensively curious of their new visitors.
So, seeing that I'm a halfling and it's a house full of halflings, I just walk up and I just say, "Hi, I'm Yuehai. These are..."
Her friends. Her friends. We are friends. Of our halfling friends.
Yes, friends. We are friends, and we were in a shipwreck, and this is the first place we've seen that has any sort of life, any sort of warmth, life kind of thing. Can we stay here for a while, get a meal, drink something warm maybe?
The older halfling who greeted them nodded as Yuehai spoke. He closed the door behind them to shut out the cold and returned to his seat nearby. As he did so, a middle-aged halfling man with sea-worn skin and short, curly brown hair stood to guide the strangers to spaces that were being cleared for them. Couples held hands as they moved out of the way, and young children snatched away their toys as adults shooed them off.
Why, yes. Please. We have some seats by the fire and we can have some food prepared for you fairly quickly. Please, this way. Let's make some space, shall we?
A group of children sat around the unoccupied spaces, each vying for the best spot to get a gander at these strange new people.
We welcome you to our hearth. Please, warm yourselves. I apologize for our cramped quarters.
Oh, beggars can't be choosers. Right? That's the right one, right?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I can feel my nose and ears again.
My name is Orir, by the way. And not to be mistaken for my son there, Aurora.
A teenage halfling with scraggly auburn hair, ladling the contents of one cauldron into small bowls, smiled at them and then at his father. There was a glimmer in his eye.
Hi. Yes, I'm Aurora, and here's some mugs of steamy fish and seaweed broth. Gamma says it's better for warming you up than ale.
Thank you so much, Orir and Oro. And I sit down at a table, which is perfect for my size, and start gulping down the food.
Ajay looks at the tiny chairs, and it's just like, probably so hunched over right now as all 6'10" of him, just barely fit, with antlers that probably takes him up near like 7.5 odd feet. It's just sort of sits down like hunched over on the floor, just... I appreciate this. Thank you very much.
The children stared, mesmerized at Ajay and his antlers, having clearly never seen anything like him, nor ever anyone so tall. Some kids raised their arms above their heads and jumped, seeing if they could reach anywhere near as high as the shaman. Nearby adults moved chairs and a bench out of the way and placed seal pelts on the ground in an effort to make a small cushion for Ajay.
Aww.
Oh my god, I don't think they've ever seen anyone able to reach the top shelf before. Well, all their shelves are probably really low, but like a normal one.
Thank you.
I think before eating, Ajay will play with the children a little bit. Like, he'll lower his head and let them hang off his antlers. He'll just pick them up by tilting his head backwards and forwards, watching them laugh. And then, maybe, like, ever so slowly, a genuine warmth and softness fills Ajay in this moment, as he lets his guard down and he smiles. Because this place reminds him of home. And a very big part of his community is that they're all involved in rearing the children, so Ajay's just taking a moment to be happy. Before he remembers the situation that he's in. This is amazing. These children are much lighter than the ones where I come from. You are so tiny. Look at you. And then I go to tussle the hair, and I'm like, oh, maybe not. As I realize my hand is the same size as them. I do not want to hurt you.
The others began to eat. Yara was drawn in by the warmth of the bowl, and Vivianna by the pit in her stomach. Vind smiled as a bowl was handed to him, and he couldn't let the halfling see him apprehensive to partake, so he faked a sip. Yuehai was happy to feel a kinship, a stability she had not expected after such a tumultuous and terrible event. And Ajay happily drank his soup as 5 different halfling children each grabbed a single finger on his one free hand. Now their immediate hunger had subsided enough for their wits to return, and Yuehai was racked with dark suspicion of their situation. She sparked a conversation with Orir.
Do you get many travelers coming around here?
We don't get very many visitors at all, but it's really nice to have visitors. I'm sorry about your circumstances. I'm sure that must have been terrible.
An older halfling woman with deep-set eyes and a sagging but gentle face inched her way closer and closer to Yuehai, her steps steadied by a shaking driftwood cane. One of the nearby children made a space for her and used this excuse to play with Ajay. The old woman slowly took her seat, very slowly. Wrinkled and aged well past most halflings, her eyes appeared small within her folding face and her lips were almost invisible. Her fingers and hands were so thin they appeared as bones wrapped with soft crepe-like skin, but her kind eyes glimmered in the firelight as she spoke.
I'm Jija, but you can call me Gamma. Everyone else does.
She looked at each newcomer, her head tilting up and down before gazing off into the rafters for a moment. A wrinkle between her eyes deepened with thought.
I can't think of the last time I've seen outsiders. Oh, now, maybe 3 decades ago.
She squinted at Yuehai before her eyes fell on Vivianna.
Oh, and a pretty lot you are.
Gamma smiled harmlessly as her gaze followed her great-grandchildren running circles around Ajay.
You look frozen, though. Drink your broth and stay near the fire. It's fish and seaweed. Don't know if you're used to that.
I told them that.
Good. Did I hear something about a shipwreck?
Yes, unfortunately we arrived here by shipwreck. Gamma, what is this place? Is there a name for this land or your village?
Yes, of course. This is the village of Inlet Hearth. You might have noticed the big cliffs. We're in the little inlet, if you know what that is. And then, of course, we have our hearth fire. So, we named ourselves Inlet Hearth about a few generations ago. This is the longhouse. It is, dear.
Wait, this is the longest house you have? Hits my head again.
Yep, tallest too. Well, we don't have any people your height here.
Jare gestures to the younger one, Orir, without calling his name, and says, I'm sorry, I'm really not used. I'm grateful for the food provided, but I'm not used to this. Do you have some of that ale that you said wouldn't be as warming as this, or something stronger yet?
I'll check real quick.
Thank you.
Absolutely. But what was your name? By the way, what are all your names? I want to know them. We all do, but they're just afraid to ask.
Well, I'm Jare.
Jare.
Okay, let me... And again, he's going to give the team a look. He's going to say, now, if you're from Vinelhaven or anything close by, You would pronounce it this way. It's Jare. Jare. But really, I'm fine with you just calling me Jare. I'm used to it by now.
Isn't that the word for year?
It's that's a words failing. That's a very good observation.
I'm Vivianna. Nice to meet you. This is delicious.
So glad you like it, dear.
Yep, thank you.
My name is Ogun. It is a pleasure to be here.
Ogun. Oh, that's a cool name.
Thank you.
One of the children nearby also repeated the name,
Ajay.
waiting for Ajay to dip his antlers back down.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I tipped my head.
On the other side of the room, Vind looked suspiciously at his companions from behind his full bowl, watching them for any signs of poison. He waited, even as his stomach ached. He cleared his throat before proceeding to speak.
My name is Vind, Greyview, and thank you for welcoming us in your home in these certainly troubled times.
Of course. No one should be left out in the cold. Hearth and home is for all.
Vivianna, can we talk privately?
What? I'm like eating. I'm like shoveling my face right now. What you want? What?
How are you feeling with all of this?
I don't know what I'm eating, but this is delicious. Have you had this? What kind of fish is this? It's so good. Are you gonna eat your portion?
No, you're welcome to have mine. I just... everybody else seems so eager to jump in with these strangers. Do you have any sort of remote, uncertainty about all this?
Well, they seem like a nice bunch. Did you see that grandma? She was really nice.
She seemed to be, yes. I encourage you to just keep an eye out and keep your ears open to what they may expect in return.
Okay. Oh, you're so like suspicious of everyone. I like that, you know? Yeah, we need someone who could like keep everyone on their toes, and yeah, you're that person, Vin. Don't worry. I am on your side. I will keep an eye out if these, they could be like evil little grandma halflings.
Hey, you're not wrong. And if there's one thing I've learned from leading my people and from my travels within the larger world, it's that no one can be trusted. So just know that at least I'm aware, and I'm not gonna let anything happen to you.
I'm right there with you. Can't trust anyone these days.
Overhearing Vin and Vivianna's conversation and recognizing that Vin hasn't eaten, I cast a spell to detect poison and diseases. And I look down into my mug of fishy soup and take in the smell of it and kind of look at everyone else like I'm talking to my food for a moment.
Some of the children who were initially interested in sitting next to the only halfling visitor now exchanged a look that Yuehai knew all too well. Surely they now worried there may be a reason that Yuehai was with all these strange people.
Whatever. I continue to gulp down on it, and when I catch that there are a couple of children and maybe even Gamma still eagerly waiting for me to introduce myself to their matriarch formally, I put down the soup and I say, "Hi, I'm Yuehai. Yuehai." And it actually means, Yue means songs or music, and Hai means the sea or the ocean.
A pleasure to have you within our home.
Oh, does that mean you know songs of the ocean?
Yes, I do know a few. I write some myself.
Would you...
Yes?
Would you mind singing some for us after you've eaten?
Of course, after I've eaten. And can I have another portion of this? Because I'm kind of really hungry.
I'll get you some more.
Thank you.
Mr. Jare, sir, we don't have ale. We don't have ale, sorry.
For those of you listening, Yara's face was so downtrodden that it couldn't properly be translated to audio.
It's truly the saddest any of us have looked in this whole game.
If there's one thing that he will not touch, it's fish. He tries to eat around the fleshy bits, trying...
This proved to be an almost impossible feat.
Maybe, what is that thing with your... He's happy that he has been in the cold water so long, so that his nose is really stuffy, so that he doesn't really taste what he's eating, but still he's avoiding the meaty pieces, just having the seaweed and the broth around it.
Seeing this, watching the sad attempts, and getting a small understanding that Jare does not like fish, I'll cast Druidcraft to create the sweet smell of potatoes in the soup as I glare at him seriously. You need food in your system, and you need warmth. You need energy.
He's even more eagerly tilting up his cup or mug that he's having, and even though there are these meaty pieces still in there, he's going to set it down and he's going to give... Thank you. Aura, could another one? Maybe see if you can... More of the soup, please.
Oh, okay, yeah. I can do that, sure.
Thank you.
At this point, Ajay's kind of hungry, so he's going to use prestidigitation to make 3 little orbs of light, and kind of imagine them being a bit like a cat with a laser pointer. It's just kind of leading the kids like a merry-go-round around him whilst he's sat there eating. Clearly this is a trick that he's used a few times before. But between bites, he'll look up at Gamma and ask, "Is there anything that we might be able to do to repay you for the kindness you have shown us?"
Well, Yuehai said she would play us a song. We love songs and stories, more so when it's those we haven't heard. I think at this point the young ones have heard everything we know fourfold, and we're not so good at making up new tales. It's a real treat to have a proper bard visit our longhouse. Yes, I spy that instrument there, Missy.
I see. Then have you, by chance, heard the legend of Rive, the Star Ox, and the Cord of Souls?
Don't think I have. Which means I don't think any of us have.
Well, then you are in for a treat, because it's a story somewhat new to me, but one that I quite enjoyed and took to memorizing. You see, where I come from, I am a guide of sorts. I spent much of my life dedicated to learning and preserving history, both legend and known, as well as my clan's rituals and the things of a more spiritual nature. They are all very valuable to my people, and I suspect they are to yours. So, with your permission, I would be pleased to share this.
The eavesdropping halflings around Ajay sat themselves down in rapt attention, as if following a known protocol for hearing stories. Even the adults who had been displaced took seats on the floor, cross-legged, backs against walls and table legs, some eating, some resting their heads on their hands, their faces agleam with curiosity. Gamma, who tried to downplay her enthusiasm, motioned for Ajay to continue as she knocked her small cane 3 times on the floor, ensuring that all side conversation ceased and attention was upon her. They all waited with captivated interest to hear what stories these strangers had brought into their longhouse on a frozen winter night.
So, pretext, Ajay is still sitting because there's no other way for him to exist within this little building without bumping his antlers. But during certain moments of the story, he'll accent it with little magical flourishes, like a spark in the air or some faint music or a low rumble, things that add fear and gravitas. But he'll also distract the younger ones from the darker notes of the story, where he'll very much make eye contact with the adults during those moments to make sure that he's not upsetting anyone as he goes along. And then, after a small pause, he'll begin. So was Rive, to all sure known, set upon by an ill. For though part god and hero sure, was but mortal still. He took his yoke and drove up to high sky and moon. Among the stars he wandered, his plough the milky night, till he came to rest within her long and weary sight. She, O great and dreadful known, the end of all our life. The splendor all souls revere and fear in simple smock. High Bohoka, shearing, snipping on her star throne rock. All Bohoka venerated, here I humbly bow. Know you me, O regent of all, here upon your throne?
Rive laid his prizes, sword, helm, yoke, then bent head to stone. Why would I know you, mortal man, though one among stars? My work consumes time, your life, so many passing fears. Think tiny men that I dwell on mortals' passing years. I know you not, so speak your peace, starry mortal man. O great Ol Bahoka, I am Rive of Nelium. Come up among the stars, I seek to cure an ailment that preys upon my breast. Please, I seek a swift relent, for I have battled demons, beasts, shades, and wicked men. In honor of the gods, I serve Almighty Relia. My father, though a god, I can never reach so near. I suffer now a mortal mark, though I served his cause. Bahoka cut a life cord, silvered, gleaming, it fell. Child, little mortal one, do not let him see tears swell. He, your father, or an other, you are soon to pass. Your cord will come, I will clip, then night and final sun. And after I have supped dinner, your line will be done. Gallant deeds, though grand to you, are pittance to this king. The mortal question plagues you, nothing can be done. Yet come now, I'll let you see your cord as it's unspun. Rive's heart was struck to learn of this deep betrayal of fate, and Bahoka, gentle giant, took his human hand, led him to her spinning wheel, a soul in every strand. Yours is coming up soon, such few souls would glow so bright. But you'll live on in song and story, heroic muse. You've made your peace, said goodbyes, nothing left to excuse. Then he noticed in her hand the shears of Taliga, blade of silver with blade of iron snipping away. One soul merely an infant, the next one long turned grey. As his glowing cord approached, he looked up one more time. Oh, great Bahoka, please take care of my ox and yoke, for I have no one left now, neither friend nor kinfolk. It must be true my time has come to join them beyond. I see it now. It rounds the wheel. Only this breath left. And so by silver and iron, soul of Rive was cleft. As Rive faded, his soul string fell to the growing pile. Come now, ox, your master's gone, and I will take your care. I will air troubles to your uncomprehending ear. Bahoka led the yoke, pulling with her the all-string. Once long ago, little one, when time was very young, I cut a special cord, see? Oh, I should bite my tongue. Lost it fell to mortal lands. Your master wasn't the one. So Bahoka and the ox did on her great throne rest, and she felt relieved, a secret lifted from her chest.
The halflings around Ajay clapped, and the children swung back and forth. The younger ones did not understand the subtext of these kinds of stories, but the older burrow folk looked at each other, chatting and nodding to discuss their understanding. Though Ajay suspected that they did not know of Rive, Nelium, or some of the deities referenced. He got the distinct impression that, similarly to the folk of the Shade Hill River, perhaps the gods were just part of nature to them. During the storytelling, Yara also seemed to well up again, his eyes glistening with a mix of happiness and sadness. He finally heard the end of the story he'd never gotten to finish. But on the other hand, he struggled through memories of his short time with the Willow's Wake, its destructive end, and the fates of his friends. As Ajay tried to eat, the children assailed the poor man with questions, asking him to describe a forest, what giant children were like, and to explain what apples and various foods common to him were. All the while sharing stories of their own fanciful fishing adventures, told to them by their uncles and aunts. Among the chaos, Ajay found that he felt happy, warm, and safe. This was a community, and it reminded Ajay of home.
In a word, Ajay is content. I think he'll use prestidigitation to make the smell of various fruits and be like, this is the closest I can create for you. But if I ever come back, I will be sure to bring so many fruits so you can try them all.
That would be amazing.
Nearby, Yuehai smiled as she finished her second portion of soup. Content and full, the natural warmth slowly began to return to her body. Jare attempted, and failed, to feed the fish from his soup to Seely, who was too cold to eat. Vivianna, also contented by what she thought of as peasant's food, fidgeted and scribbled in her notebook, which had curiously survived the shipwreck, perhaps because of magics that protected its pages from the elements, at least up to 6 meters of water. And on the far side of the room, Vind skulked. Apidae had taken advantage of the situation, had made friends here faster, had put him at a disadvantage. He'd have to be quicker next time. He'd need to ensure that no one trusted the orc. Maybe he could play up Apidae's magic as necromancy. Surely there was some form of necromancy in the magics the shaman used, right? Vin's mind slowly searched for answers, though he remained weary from those frozen waters.
I think after I've rested for like 10 minutes or something, I look at Orir and clear my throat to get his attention.
Oh, yes. Hi. Hi, Yuehai. Is there something I can help you with?
Yes, Orir. To be honest, now that our immediate needs are met and we're able to think clearly again, I think some of us had some questions for you and Gamma. So, where does one go from here? Because, you know, we stumble upon this place, your home, not in the best of conditions. We were thrown far off course of our intended destination in the North Realm due to a terrible storm. You've been so kind and welcoming to take us in and to share your food with us, and we don't wish to impose too much. So, if we were to leave this place, are there any settlements nearby that we can walk to? Or are there ships in your village or that you know of that could bring us the rest of the way to Winterport?
As for ships, we only have our fishing boats, and they're not meant to venture far into the open seas. They're also too small for you lot, and even for too many of us. And as for us, well, the seas provide, and we're content with our lives here.
And just where is here, exactly?
Oh, you're on the Isle of Silver Shores.
How big is this island? Is this the only village in the island? On the island?
The Isle, well, sort of big, but that's relative, I suppose. Perhaps 2 miles from end to end. Unfortunately for you, we're the only ones that still live here. There was a human settlement on the other side of the island, but it's not occupied anymore if it's still even around.
So, Gamma, you mentioned that about 3 decades ago was the last time you saw travelers come through here. So, I guess you don't get many visitors? Who were those visitors from 3 decades ago, if you remember? Do you know how they left? When they left? I'm assuming that they left. So, when they did, where and how did they go?
You don't have to talk so quickly. I doubt you all plan to leave tonight, and there's plenty of time to answer all your questions.
Let's see. There were a few of them. They were not as friendly as you lot. And I believe they looked the most like him.
Gamma gestured toward Jare, who was petting Seely. Seely bounced and chirped, sometimes hopping onto a table to shuffle around an unattended spoon.
No horns, no tails, no scales, no elven ears. So human. And I would say that it seemed like they arrived here intentionally. They were not overly polite or talkative, and once we gave them directions, they took the path up north. We never did see them again after that, so we always assumed they must have taken their own vessel here and used it to depart.
Yeah, I was real young when that happened. They didn't seem much interested in anything we had to offer. I think old Rennie was the only one who really talked with them.
Adventurers, the lot of them!
That's definitely their loss. But if we were to leave this lovely longhouse and venture down, you called it the path, are there any things or creatures that we should be aware of that might be dangerous on this island?
Dangerous? Besides the cold?
Yes, besides the cold.
Firstly, you don't venture down the path, you climb up.
Well, I'm told there were once harpies who lived here, but we believe they died out long ago. We do get the occasional polar bear, however. They come in on the ice floes every few years, but don't tend to linger here.
You should be safe enough, so long as you watch your step on the switchbacks and keep yourselves warm as you travel. About that, we'd be poor hosts if we didn't offer you all a place to stay tonight in this longhouse. Our other homes nearby are quite, well, our-sized, but we can bring over more seal furs to make beds for you all and give you some privacy once you've had your fill of our company. But only if you want to. We'd hate for any of you to freeze to death outside.
Really, that would be so lovely. We would all welcome the opportunity to regain our energy with a good night's sleep by a warm fire and see what our next steps are tomorrow.
Excuse me, Missy. Was our food to your liking?
Of course, it was maybe not for Jare, but yes, I loved it. And Vivianna, and that points to this seemingly elegant tiefling just lying there, burping away.
Could I ask, you said the human settlement is abandoned, has been that way for some time. Do you know what led them to leave?
Well, humans built a fort on the north side of the isle. Used to be, yes, a site for mining. That's how the first halflings came to be here, to work as miners. When some went home, others stayed here to make a new way, but that was, must have been more than a century since they left. My parents knew it as Fort Last, and it's almost certainly still there. Though, certainly, a mite bit worse for wear now. Glad they left, though, since we've the isle all to ourselves.
Could I ask, is this what you were mining? And I'll pull out the little silvery reflective material that I found on the beach.
Dear, I wasn't mining anything. I may be the elder of Inlet Hearth, but I'm not old enough to have lived through those times. The mining ended even before the first burrow was built here in our inlet, and I was born here, see?
Not you personally, sorry, I mean as this is what the halflings were. They're helping to mine, do you know?
Perhaps. Again, I wasn't round then. Old, but not old enough to know that much, and never cared to ask my elders.
So you don't know what this is?
A sort of supernatural silver, perhaps? But it's not really a silver. Just something that makes everything look nice and shiny. The children like to use it in games, and we use all the rocks here for building and work. But we don't like the precious metals. Seems they only attract danger and greed. And we don't have anything to trade for it among ourselves.
That makes sense. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Our elders passed down stories that silver and gold can attract danger, greed. So we try not to use too much of it in our works or near our village. Not that we have any real silver or gold here. At least I don't think we do.
And they all say gold and silver's too weak for fishing hooks anyhow, so it can't be all that great.
Ajay just puts it down on the table and slides it away from him. Okay, good.
At this time, seeing as we've been invited to spend the night out of the freezing cold, I'll address the group. Jare, Ajay, Vin, and Vivianna. Orir, with the blessing of the village elder, has very kindly extended their welcome for us to spend the night here in their family longhouse. They'll bring some seal pelts as blankets and bedding if we are comfortable accepting their hospitality. So, are all of you okay to spend the night here? Just to have some sleep, get some rest?
Absolutely.
I might ask if there is some wood, perhaps, and I will take myself to outside. I find it uncomfortable to sleep under such low ceilings.
I suppose we could ask them and be more demanding than we already are. But sure, yeah, we can ask them.
Ajay, do you feel safer out outside by yourself?
Can anybody hear that? I can swear that there is some sort of strange...
Yuehai.
That's not good.
No, I was simply just trying to make sure I understood Apidae correctly. You'd rather sleep outside by yourself with the protection of nothing structural around you?
What is a structural going to do? I am from the woods. This is very normal. I feel more comfortable.
Yes, but woods you're familiar with, not these woods. Metaphorically, since we've not seen a single tree here, but these are unfamiliar woods that anything could happen at any moment, unexpectedly. Maybe polar bears or trolls or...
And what happens if the structure is keeping in something that you don't want to be in the same space as?
By now, Deej, look, okay, this is unnecessary talk, so...
Yuehai, did I overhear that they said they would not be sleeping here? This would just be for us.
Yes, that's true. They have their own homes to go back to. So, Vin, do you want to sleep inside, or do you want to sleep outside with Apidae?
I'm hoping Apidae will stay in...
Do you want to follow Apidae wherever he goes? So if he goes outside, you would like to sleep outside with him?
No,
in close vicinity.
I am skeptical of the situation, but being as though they will all agree to leave the structure, we could lock it behind them, and we will have our own safe space. Minus Apidae. Is that right?
I suppose if we could find some wood for Apidae to create a campfire or something. What about Jare?
Can Jare have a very quick investigatory glance around the place before he decides, I'm just gonna go for it. Investigation. If just something that strikes him as not odd, I guess all of this is odd, but potentially dangerous. There were humans here before that are not there anymore. 18.
Jare confirmed that the longhouse, constructed of driftwood, shipwreckage, and local stone, was not built for humans or human proportions. It was built specifically by and for use by halfling inhabitants. The doors were slightly larger, perhaps so they could bring in things needed to prepare large amounts of food, or racks for drying fish, but the doors were simple, and he easily noted the more frequent signs of use on the smaller door set within the same frame. With an 18, he also noticed and smelled that the fires were not burning wood, but instead a very tacky oil, perhaps fish, seal, or whale oil, being slowly fed into the fire. He had no reason to question the intentions of the village's halflings based on his findings.
Okay. So nothing that speaks of danger to him at this point, so, sure. And he moves closer to the fireplace.
Apidae opens the door and glances outside at the freezing darkness and realizes that he hasn't seen a single tree on this island yet, and doesn't feel like inconveniencing the people of this very kind community. And realizing that he'll freeze to death even with firewood or seal blankets out there, he just mumbles to himself, of course.
It's like a, I'm going to sleep outside, but then they're not actually going to sleep outside. It's kind of cute.
Very sheepishly, Apidae turns around and just sort of looks back into the room and... well, it is far too cold out there.
Perhaps I was right.
Before I forget, do you guys have anything more dry or crispy to eat? Maybe some fish skin or something?
Sure. Here. Try this. It's fried in fish oil.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm gonna just chew on this while I watch this next interaction. This is my entertainment for the evening.
Amma just takes all that dried fish and just really, really take it out of the fish.
Wow, he really likes fish. I'll get you some more.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I turn back to Orir and say thank you so much for letting us spend the night here. All 5 of us would love to just have a good night's rest here. And how can we ever repay you for this, for your kindness?
Well, you said you had a story, and I know that Gamma would...
A song.
A song, yes. We'd all really love to hear it. And then we'll put the kiddos to sleep and bring in the sealskins for you. It's getting kind of late.
Sure. Yes, there is one song that comes to mind. It's something that I've written years ago, but it's not the happiest song. Do you think you guys would still want to hear that?
I love tragedies.
What an answer. Okay.
With a hissed whisper and a hint of druidcraft, the candles of the longhouse were snuffed out.
Wow.
And the light from the fireplaces bent and wove through the crowd. It seemed to solely illuminate Yuehai as she quickly revealed her ukulele. Eyes bent her way in an instant, and unseen by anyone, Jare, exceptionally dexterous and quiet even for a human, produced one of the rubies he'd claimed to have lost to the sea and slipped it into Orir's pocket. A thanks for the village's kindness. Now that Yuehai had everyone's attention, and even Vivianna stopped eating, she began to sing.
Stormy night, fleeting skies, rolling seas, up upon your boat, there's a monster beneath you, rushing through the deep, calling for your hand. Join me, broken glass. And I want you to know you can never be, for I am the storm. You forever the sailor, praying for calm seas, not a lover's wreck, for I am all that you could never withstand. Broken heart, waves of salt, push the boat, fleeing the other way. The high tide freeze held the little stones, shatter on the trail, melting as you leave. And I want you to know I let the waves hold me, for the lonely monster understands the world, though the hope burns soft, it will never be, for I am the storm, and you forever the sailor.
Thank you. That was amazing. That was beautiful.
That was so beautiful.
Cry, Vivianna, cry. Cry for me.
That melody, it's just so haunting. It's really good.
Did you listen to the lyrics?
Yeah, it was depressing, but I loved it.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
That was still a lot more cheerful than that story about the blind lady. He stares off into the fire again.
Ajay, those were some lyrics, huh?
It's just so funny. Vin's trying really hard, man. I love it. Oh, God.
Ajay's just staring past Vin, just to the side of his head, ignoring him completely.
Well, we can talk more over breakfast. We'll start getting the longhouse ready for you. Good night, friends.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night. We'll see you all in the morning.
As praises were tossed upon Yuehai by all within the room, the lights returned and a few halflings wiped tears from their eyes. Gamma clasped her hands around Yuehai's in thanks, and then excused herself for the evening. Orir and Orir left to fetch sealskins, and parents ushered their children out of the longhouse. taking hot stones from the fires along with them to warm their own homes for the evening. Jare and Apidae moved tables and prepared places for everyone to sleep, and Vind smirked from his spot closest to one of the fireplaces. As sealed pelts were brought in and laid upon the ground, the team came to find rest and slept well through the night. Everyone, that is, except Apidae, who couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss.
Dark Dice, Shores of the Silver Thrum, Chapter 13, Inlet Hearth, created by Travis Vengroff and K.A. Statz, starring Sam Yeow, Jasper William Cartwright, Eric Nelsen, Florian Seidler, LilyPichu, and Travis Vengroff and K.A. Statz as co-dungeon masters, and featuring additional voices by Richard K. Weber, Alexandria Macaulay, Hildur and Atlas Algard, Dayn Russell Leonardson, and B. Apidae. This episode was co-edited with co-sound design by Travis Vengroff and Finnur Nielsen, mixed and mastered by Finnur Nielsen, transcriptions by K.A. Statz and Travis Vengroff, and executive producers Dennis Greenhill, A.J. Pumpkin, Maico Villegas, and Carol Vengroff. This episode features music by David Wise, Stephen Malin, Sam Yeow, and Travis Vengroff. Episodes will be releasing every 2 weeks, so stick around, stay subscribed, and consider joining the Patreon to get episodes ad-free and early. This is a Fool and Scholar production. Thank you for listening.